and you are live. Hey, how you doing? Rastafari KingDavid, giving to you live and direct. And do this thing on I normally do this on a Sunday. You know, it's been a couple of a crazy couple of last couple of weeks, so I haven't been able to get that in. But I'm back at you, and having a conversation on what it means to be Rasta, or what does Rastafari actually mean. If you go back into a couple of my previous posts, I'm talking about Rastafari. What does it mean? I'm also giving you the Nazarene vow, which is found in the Bible. Coincidentally, Samson was a Nazarene, but that's another conversation. Go back to the original video where it says, "What does it mean to be the Nazarene vow?" Also, I did philosophies of and opinions of Marcus Garvey, Rastafari. What are the seven bodies of man? Where I'm explaining exactly, what that actually signifies, because in the Bible and a lot of different places they talk about the seven bodies of man, which it can be quite confusing. So you definitely want to check out that video. I'm talking about the Trinity, which is a false doctrine. When I'm saying that it's a false doctrine, meaning that a lot of times when you go to church, they tell you about the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, and they tell you that the Holy Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's wrong. Just throw all of that out. That's some BS intended to confuse you. The Holy Trinity consists of the Mother, the Father, and the offspring. This isn't mystical or confusing or anything like that. It has correlations all through the universe and creation. You see the female, you see the male, and when they come together, you have life. And I also talked about what is Gnosticism. That was I really had a good time, having a conversation about Gnosticism. But long story short, what happens is Gnosticism was a sect that started around 0 AD, and they are the alternate Christian sect. And what they propose is that enlightenment comes from within. That's the Gnostic approaches. Enlightenment comes from within, not from without. So what you will find is a twist away from truth and understanding, because it starts out within self, but later on, the corruption of the law of the light stipulates that it's outside of self. Okay, let me say this a different way. There's an exoteric and exoteric understanding of life in the universe. Exoteric means you're looking at the universe as separate from yourself, and you're not part of that exoteric understanding. Esoteric means part of yourself, meaning you have to find that light within the self. So what happened was around maybe 300 AD, 340, 400 AD, they really stamped down the aspect of you finding enlightenment within yourself, and you have to go to external beings or whatever you want to call it in order to find enlightenment, which is totally wrong. Okay, so I mentioned Gnosticism. Black History Month is Black History Month in the UK, so it's not really Black History Month for me. It's more like respect for the ancestors. So this is the conversation, and this is what I'm doing now, is showing appreciation to the ancestors. That said, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I had a dream that really had a profound effect on me. I was communicating with ancients or ancestors, and I told them, I have a degree in graphic design. That's what I am. I'm a graphic designer. That's what I do. And the female aspect of the entity I was having a conversation with said, well, if you're a graphic designer, what does the feather mean? What does a feather mean? Okay, in 20 years, it took me 20 years to come to the conclusion of what exactly the feather meant. And after my research and all of that, I have come to the conclusion that the feather is a representation of Maat, or balances, which I'm discussing today on this broadcast. Um, the, the books that I'm using, because I'm not just making this up arbitrarily. The books that I'm using are the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which they call the Egyptian Book of the Dead, but actually it's the Book of Coming Forth by Light. Got another version of that. They also call it the Papyrus of Annie, and I also have the Book of Truth, which is the voice of Osiris. Um, these books are really hard to come by. This isn't mainstream type of stuff, but again, the Book of Truth, provided by Osiris, is a fantastic book, and also the Chronicles of Osiris, which is another fantastic book, which is out of print, and I'm gonna see if I can get those to you, but I can't make a promise on that because this is specialized information, and they talk about magic and esoteric magic and all that. These are books of magic. What happens is, since they're giving us an exoteric or outside understanding of it, it's confusing and it's a mystery. So magic is illusions and all of that. That's not what magic is about. Magic isn't magic like they give it to you. It's more like scientific understanding of spirituality. That's what magic is. And if you don't have an internal understanding, or you're not moving from the spirit from within, it's all mystical and it's all mythology and it's all confusing. If it's confusing you, leave it alone. First things first is you have to identify with the spirit of the most high universe within yourself. Once you can identify that you are part of the spirit of the universe, then your conversation and your understanding and your appreciation goes a little bit deeper. And it's not so confusing. And then also, when you run into things that don't align with the truth that you understand it, you can just disregard it. That said, I'm taking you back to 11,000 BC or so, whereas in the Bible it says creation started in about 4,000 BC, which is totally asinine. That makes no sense whatsoever. And I'm gonna explain to you the reason why that confusion exists. In 11,000 BC, the civilization of Kemit was in full force. This is in Africa. This is before the time of Egypt and before the time of religion, or the so-called religion and all of that. It was called Kemit, 11,000 BC. And then Kemit had a full understanding that we all are part of the universe. And from Kemit, we have the understanding of Maat, which means truth, justice, harmony, and balance. Again, truth, justice, harmony, and balance. So they also had a symbolic representation of Osiris, or what we call the originator. I'm getting confused right now, and I don't want to confuse you by saying the wrong thing. So I want to be clear on what I'm explaining. Okay, in so-called Egypt, there was a such thing as the weighing of the heart ceremony. And in the weighing of the heart ceremony, they would weigh your heart against a feather, which seems like, you're always going to lose that argument, right? And that's the dynamic. But if you listen to the priests who have an esoteric understanding of of life and religion, they will confuse you because they don't know really what they're looking at. They don't understand what that means to weigh your heart against a feather. But what that signifies is that your heart is lighter than a feather, or you're in comparison with the principles of Maat, which are truth, justice, harmony, and balance. The principles of Ma'at were the laws of Egypt. That's the reason why the civilization lasted for so long. Everybody had an appreciation for truth, justice, harmony, and balance. Oh man, I really messed this thing up. I'm hoping I got a mic, but I'm having a little bit of difficulty, and hopefully this is sounding a little bit better. But anyway, I was speaking about the principles of Ma'at, which are truth, justice, harmony, and balance. And since that was understood throughout the whole civilization, everybody moved in that manner. Again, back to 11,000 BC when we have Kemit. So what happened was they weren't clear on the information that they were getting in Kemit. So in the process, a lot of people in the area were coming into Kemet because they were just so beautiful. You know the pyramids and all that. Everybody loved the pyramids and whatnot. So everybody came into Kemet. A lot of people, foreigners and whatnot, came into Kemet, and they didn't have a full understanding of Ma'at. So they came up with their own understanding, and then from there, you have the first dynasties of Egypt. Before the first dynasties of Egypt was the divine dynasties that they don't really have any type of recollection of. They don't really understand any of that. The divine pharaohs and the divine leaders of Egypt or Kemet before that. So now we're moving further along into Egypt, and right then was the split from esoteric to exoteric. So the understanding was no longer personal, it became more about somebody else explaining theology or religion or whatever you want to call it. So after that happened, we're already dealing with two kingdoms. One kingdom understands spirituality from an internal aspect, and the other kingdom understands spirituality from an external aspect. And they switch sides. That's the reason why it's so hard to identify who is the good guys and the bad guys. Because what happens is the good guys turn into bad guys, then the bad guys turn into good guys, and then the good guys turn into bad guys, and it's been going on over and over and over and over. So, like I was saying, Kemet was the enlightened beings, and then they turned into Egypt, which weren't as enlightened, and they split from their understanding. And then after that split came the Habarus or Hebrews. They came from the Middle East or so, and it's hard to really get a good feed on them because they say that Habaru or Hebrew means desert prince or shepherd kings or a host of other stuff. But everybody's confused about that because they don't have the internal knowledge. But long story short, the reason why they were called shepherd kings is because they were operating during the time of Taurus, which was the astrology at the time. So they're called shepherds kings because they're shepherding bulls. And then you'll see a lot of that iconography all throughout the world at that time. Everybody's worshiping bulls. They're not worshiping bulls. They give an appreciation for the energy of the universe, which is presenting itself in Taurus. That said, the Hebrews conflated the information. They took it away from Egypt and moved to the Middle East. I'm sure, if you're into this stuff, you probably know a lot of that already. So while they were in the Middle East, they start arguing, they start conflicting, and again, that same split happened. Some have the internal understanding of the Most High, some have the external understanding of Most High, and then they split into groups. And then you have the northern Israelites, which were Semites, and the southern Israelites, which were Jews. So a lot of times they identify Jews as the whole set of people that came from Israel. That's the wrong read. It's a specific set that came out of Palestine and Samaria and Canaanite, which were the Jews, which is southern portion of Israel. So the Jews, after they jacked the information from the Hebrews, their information was jacked by the Christians. So the Christians took the information from the Jews, came up with their own understanding, and again, you get the same divide. Some have an appreciation for the Most High from inside, and some have an appreciation for the Most High from the outside. And then what happened was that the folks that looked at the religiosity and whatnot from the outside, which is more of a materialistic approach to things, they won the day. So they create the information that they got, they carnalized it and corrupted it. So it was totally confusing. And then they ran with it. And that, again, that would be the Christians who turned into the Catholics. So we've been having a Catholic conversation, which is external, which tells you that you need to look outside of yourself in order to find enlightenment. And when you look outside of yourself, you have to look to them to tell you what these things actually mean, which is wrong. I'm here to set you straight, light bearer, bringing truth and honesty. So what happens is, if this truth doesn't resonate in your soul or in your heart, you don't take it. If somebody brings you anything that doesn't vibrate within your spirit, you let it go. Okay. The next thing, as I was speaking of Israel, which is ISRAL, right? And, of course, a lot of the Jews would say they're the Israelites and all that mumbo jumbo and all that stuff. But if you do your homework and you look back, Israel is not a Jewish term. It's an Egyptian term. It signifies through Israel, Isis, which is the first part of it, which is the mother goddess, Ra, which is the second part of it, which is the father goddess, and El, which signifies the inclusion of all of them. So it's Isis, Ra, and El, which was taken from Egypt. So the original language and understanding came from Egypt. All the other stuff are bad copies. That said, we're talking about the principles of Maat. And the principles of Ma'at are internal. So as long as you have those principles within you, like I was saying before, when it's time for you to move to the next life, they compare you to the principles of Ma'at, which are truth, justice, harmony, and balance, which seems a little bit obscure, right? It gets a little confusing and whatnot, but it's not really confusing. It's really, really simple. If you're a Christian, you might have followed Moses, and in the Bible it talks about how Moses came down from the mountain with all the scriptures and the enlightenment, and he came to the people and found out they was worshiping rams and they was worshiping bulls, and he got pissed and he broke all the information, and then he went back up the mountain and got a new set of what they call the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments were created because the Israelites or the followers of Moses, I'm not sure if they was Israelites just yet. The followers of Moses, they couldn't take the information. So they had to keep it real simple for them, right? But what really happens is back to what I was saying before, how the Jews jacked it from the Hebrews, who jacked it from Egypt. The Ten Commandments are a bad hack of Maat: truth, justice, harmony, and balance. The Ma'at is found in the Book of the Dead in a lot of different places. And it doesn't read like thou or you shall not. Because what happens is once they added that aspect of thou or you shall not, that automatically takes the onus away from you. Meaning you're not responsible for this. This is somebody else telling you what you need to be doing, and that's totally wrong. The principles of Ma'at are 42 principles that dictate, you say, from yourself when you run into when it's time to make it to the next level. So when they ask you, why should we accept you or why should we let you into our community, you respond with 42 negative confessions. And those confessions read such as, I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men and women. I have not stolen grain. I have not purloined offerings. I have not stolen the property of the gods. I have not uttered lies. I have not carried away food. I have not uttered curses. I have not committed adultery. I have not made anyone weep. I have not eaten the heart. I have not attacked any man. I am not a man of deceit. I have not stolen cultivated land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not slandered any man. I have not been angry without just cause. I have not I have not put my hands on anybody's wife. I have not put my hands on anybody's wife on another set. I have not polluted myself. I have terrorized none. I have not transgressed the law. I have not been angry. I do not shut my ears to the words of truth. I have not blasphemed. I am not a man of violence. I am not a stirrer or up of strife or disturber of the peace. I have not acted or judged with undue haste. I have not pried into matters. I have not multiplied my words in speaking. I have wronged no one. I have done no evil. I have not worked witchcraft against the king or blasphemed against the king. I have never stopped the flow of water. I have never raised my voice, spoken arrogantly or in anger. I have not cursed or blasphemed the gods. I have not acted with evil rage. I have not stolen the bread of the gods. I have not carried away the kin food cakes from the spirits of the dead. I have not snatched away the bread of the child, nor treated with contempt the God of my city. I have not slain the cattle belonging to God. I was trying to get you a good copy of that. This information is like 3,000 years old or so. So it's different translations of it. But long story short, you have to take responsibility for you and the things that you do. So when you can come to whoever and say all these things that you haven't done, which is a real conversation with yourself, because when you're saying all this stuff, you're being true to yourself, which is the spirit within you. Then you're responsible for yourself, and then you can manifest the spirit which is in you. And that's the whole point of the talk. If you can live by the laws of Maat, then you are one with the universe. And that's what we need you to do. Identify with the spirit within and make that spirit within the best you can possibly be. Um, yeah. I think I covered all of the stuff that I wanted to talk about today. Again, this is Black History Month in the UK. Um, Located in the Midlands of the UK, and doing a radio broadcast. I got a new show on Saturdays in addition to the Friday show at 9 a.m. in the UK. And that's Kickstarting Your Weekend with Rastafari KingDavid. That will be me. And I got the show on Saturday as well, giving you a nice Shabbat Shalom. So make sure you tune in to your boy, Rastafari KingDavid, on YouTube, Rastafari KingDavid on Instagram, Rasta KingDavid on Twitter. The website is lovemovement.co, and you can shoot an email to me at RastafariKingDavid at Gmail. If you want to be part of the conversation, want to say what's up, or just want to blend with the team, give me a shout. Let me know what's going on your side of the town. You can hit me with a like or dislike, or give me your opinion, because I'm okay with people that don't agree with me, because I'm speaking truth. I'm not speaking from my emotions. So if you have a problem with truth, that's probably on you, and bring it. I'm ready for it. Thanks for tuning in. Rastafari KingDavid. Hope you're having a fantastic week. Make sure you tune in to your boy, 9 o'clock a.m. Fridays, Hills FM 98.6 and www.hillsfm.co.uk. Saturday as well, 11 or so. Holla at your boy. Thanks for tuning in. Deuces.